Welcome to another edition of Hey Bobby with Vice President of the Cleveland Indians, Bobby DiBiasio, with us here on WAKR, brought to you by our good friends at NECA-IBEW. So, Bobby, we're a couple of months in. They always say you get a good barometer of your baseball team right around Memorial Day. And boy, we've seen a lot of lineup changes, a lot of guys being pressed into play and have come through for us. But let's get onto the field a little bit. You and I haven't done that a whole lot through the first couple of months, and let's give us an assessment of the first couple of months of this baseball team.
Well, you're absolutely right, Ray. You do look up after 40 plus games, the quarter poll, and see who you are, what your identity is. Every team is different from year to year. And how do you go about really determining who you are as a baseball team in the first 40 games? And obviously, for us, as we turn the calendar to June 1st, we see a team that has an elite bullpen, which has really kept us in games. We have a team that really is resilient and plays hard. You normally say they play all 9 innings, but the last 5 games we've only played 7 inning games. But we play all 7 and we play all 9. It'd be nice getting back to the 9 inning single game here. Um, our starting pitching has been steady. Um, it's certainly not as deep as in the past when guys like Savali and Plezak were our 4th and 5th starters. We've had, some hiccups along the way, health-wise there. And our offense has been inconsistent, of course. That's not that odd compared to everybody else in the game of baseball struggling on offense. The one thing that I think has probably been a little bit more disappointing than what we had hoped was our defense. We're just not as crisp. We're just not as crisp a baseball team defensively. Last year, Rawlings Gold Glove did, for the very first time ever, had a team Gold Glove. And the Cleveland Indians won that team Gold Glove for the American League. And we're not playing like that this year thus far. And that can be corrected. But when you're built on pitching and defense, you've got to play good, sound, fundamental baseball. But you sit back and you look, we were 500 in April, 12-12. We go 5 games over 500 in May at 17-12. So, you sit here at 29-24. You're in second place, 3.5 games back. I think we'll take that for all the peaks and valleys of the early season.
The one thing that I really like, Bobby, about the team, and you've seen enough baseball like I have, a lot of times the team will take the personality on of its leadership. And here we can talk a little bit about Tito, how he always stresses coming out of spring training. It's going to take 40 of you guys to have this successful season. You're seeing that again this year. But I also think this team plays scrappy and plays hard, like who I think their leader is on the field this year in Jose Ramirez. I think those two, Tito and Jose, have kind of set the tempo for this baseball team. And I was wondering if you felt the same there.
Absolutely, with our skipper, there's no question about it. His leadership skills are remarkable. He and his coaching staff have done a phenomenal job keeping everybody prepared, ready to play through the ups and downs, keeping this youngest team in baseball focused and hungry. And that's not easy to do, to be able to stay positive when you do have the hiccups, whether it's a defensive play or you lose a few in a row, instead of going, deep down like some teams have. The Kansas City Royals had the best month of April around, and then in the month of May, they started losing some games. We go in there and win 4 in a row against them, and all of a sudden, they head to the bottom. They've resurfaced that team. They've fought back. They're not quite at 500 yet, but they're getting closer. Jose, I know this sounds trite, but he's just a ball player, isn't he? he's just a damn good ball player, and he's just so fun to watch. And everybody who's around him, he's the kind of guy that just by his actions, not by his words, but just by his actions, make you feel better about being a teammate of his. And I think he's taken that role on a little bit more. He certainly has done it on the field when we needed a big hit. He's the man. And think about it, we're still playing and winning baseball, and our big bopper in the middle of the lineup is not around, Franmil Reyes. And that's tough when a guy who, he and Jose were really carrying this team offensively. But guys like Ahmed Rosario have stepped up, and a few others. So, but yeah, I agree with you. Tito, Jose, they are our leaders, and they continue to be.
I don't know what lies ahead. And this is Hey Bobby with Bobby DiBiasio of the Cleveland Indians. I don't know what the next couple of months look like, but one, it was great to see Bradley Zimmer get the call up after everything he has been through, from the injuries and the minor leagues and the adjustments. It would have been easy for him to just back away from this whole thing. It was great to see him come in and contribute to us over the weekend. And those 3 starts, had three hits and some RBIs, scored a run, legged out that infield hit. And also, you mentioned the young Ramirez kid in the outfield. These two weren't on the roster at the beginning of the year. And again, I don't know what's down the line, but again, digging into that surplus of talent from Columbus on up, these two have stepped in and contributed for us.
They sure have. It was really awesome to see what Bradley Zimmer did yesterday in that doubleheader. You indicated, the hits. He had 2 stolen bases. Um, People just, I don't feel have enough sense of what an athlete goes through when they have a real difficult injury. When he ran smack dab full speed into the wall at Yankee Stadium and blew out his shoulder, it took a while for him to get back into being able to throw and to play baseball and swing a bat. And then on top of it, as you said, he changed up his batting stance and his approach at the plate. And then all of a sudden the pandemic hits and he doesn't get a chance to play competitive baseball in 2020. He's at a satellite site. And so there were obstacles in his way, but he's just kept fighting and fighting. So it was fun to see where that takes him. It's going to be interesting. Honestly, it's going to be interesting to see what Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff and Tito and the group decide to do with him. Harold Ramirez is a guy you pick off waivers. In 2019, he was the cleanup hitter for the Miami Marlins, having a terrific year. Then in 2020, he gets COVID, as did most, I think, 3/4 of the team in Miami ended up getting COVID. So his 2020 season was just derailed. And all of a sudden in spring training in 2021, they tried to sneak him through waivers and go with a younger set of outfielders, and our guys pounced on it. And Harold, as Tito loves talking about him, his energy level and his aggressiveness at the bat. I mean, he doesn't get cheated. And he's made some good plays in the outfield. I mean, he might just be one of those guys that you look back in a couple of years and go, man, what a find he was. Teammates love him. He's, again, got a lot of energy. Where all this goes, it's going to be interesting to see, because that's part of being a young team, is who's going to step up. Who's are the guys that say, hey, this is my opportunity. I'm the guy they should be thinking about on an everyday basis. So it's going to be fun to watch how all that unfolds here over the next 4 months. One thing you said, you don't know where we're going. Think about this. We have an off day on Thursday. We have an off day on Monday. We have an off day next Thursday. Okay, so we have 3 off days coming up here in a short period of time. And then going into the All-Star break, we play 30 games in 31 days.
Ooh.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah.
I mean, we'll have 3 off days within a 7-day period or something. And 8-day period, and then we play 30 games in 31 days leading into the All-Star break. It's crazy.
With us is Bobby DiBiasio, VP with the Cleveland Indians. Hey, Bobby, brought to you by NECA-IBEW. Bobby, you and I have had a number of conversations because you mentioned the month of July. I believe we have 3 weekend homestands in the month of July where people can really pound the stadium and get into the gates again. And can't wait to get back up there myself. But concessions are a big part of going to the baseball ballpark. I've corrected it. It's not a stadium. It's a ballpark. So
You're a
going to
good
the
man.
ballpark, I learned, my friend. So I know you spent some time, along with many other people with the organization, of looking up the concessions, the top sellers, the dollar dog nights, the nachos, and all that stuff. That just doesn't pop up. There's a lot of work behind the scenes. I thought you could take a couple of minutes and talk about that aspect of the visit to the ballpark.
The people that run our concessions at the ballpark, Delaware North Company Sports Service, they're a real partner in all of this. It isn't like we just, signed on a concessionaire and you hand it over and you don't work as a partner. The only way things work in life is if it's a partnership, and we certainly do have that with them. When we moved into our building from Cleveland Stadium, um, we had something over like 75, 78 different items on the concession menu. It was one of the things we touted about going into our brand new, beautiful baseball only ballpark downtown, and that the concessions were going to be elevated, and the quantity and the quality of such. And then when we redid the design of the ballpark, after the first 20 plus years in that building, and as you know, we did the corner bar and the whole outfield area, redesigned all that. The home plate club took the jury boxes away. We really made a concerted effort with our partner, Delaware North. How do we elevate, the experience? Because I don't think anybody goes to a football game and the first thing on their mind is, what am I going to eat today? I don't think they actually even go into an arena indoors and say, what am I going to eat today? But when you go to a ball game, when you go to a baseball game, food is on your mind. It's top of mind. You say, okay, what am I going to eat other than maybe a hot dog today? What else am I going to eat? And so we take that very seriously. So we have 13 different local restaurants that we have partnered with. And for Delaware North to bring them in and work with their food preparers, their chefs, etc., to make sure that it's done the way those restaurants like it, takes an awful lot of teamwork. And so we felt to elevate our food and beverage presentation, because people love their craft beers, and we have tons of those. That bringing in local restaurants was a fun thing to do, and so we really elevated that part of the total fan experience that goes along with a huge scoreboard and the music and the videos and the fun, and all of those things that people love when they invest in Indians baseball. So we think we do a pretty good job of taking care of people with a whole lot of quantity and a whole lot of quality, with people they're familiar with, local restaurants. But the hot dog still is the number one seller.
You're right about tradition. I know my son and I, the first thing we do in the ballpark, it's our tradition. We go and get the full nachos with the salsa and the cheese. We get our soda, and we go to the sit down seat, and we sit down and watch the lineups and stuff. So you're exactly right, Bobby. I think the eats are part of the experience at baseball, and I agree with you more than any other sport.
Absolutely. So you get the big one with the helmet and the whole bit, all the jalapenos.
We do.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's been our
It's fun when you walk into a one of the restrooms. You'll see people in there cleaning out that helmet after they've eaten every last chip and nacho cheese and jalapeno. Then they clean them out to take that helmet home, which is pretty funny. But yeah, well, you two guys can eat, because that's a whole lot of nachos.
Another edition of Hey Bobby with Vice President with the Cleveland Indians, Bobby DiBiasio, brought to you by NECA-IBEW. My friend, thank you for the time. We'll catch up with you again next week.
Thank you, Ray. Always fun, buddy. Go Tribe.